Hi lovelies, I'm Ariel and this is Maven Unmasked and welcome to my I'm Not So Catholic Anymore video. I entitled this video as such because in going through my spiritual process and progress, I often found myself saying that a lot, especially to my mom. So I decided to title the video as such. Now the reason I'm creating this video, I received a lovely email from a client of mine, and she wanted to ask me, she had seen that I had mentioned the Catholic Church before in one of my videos, and wanted to know how was my transition from Christianity to spirituality, or do I practice both? And that's something that they've been struggling with and wondering if they're on the right path or the wrong path, and it's definitely something I can speak to. So I have a whole bunch of notes that I made, so I made sure I covered everything I wanted to cover. So please bear with me. I have a lot to say on this topic. So it definitely plays into my story. The Catholic Church definitely plays into my story and why I do what I do and where I'm at now. I thank the Catholic Church a lot. So we're going to talk about that today. So starting off, I can't talk about this without talking about my grandmother. My grandmother was raised Baptist and she did not like it. Whenever I ask her about it, she just didn't like it. It didn't resonate with her. And she didn't like the fact that it was forced upon her because her family was Baptist. She had to be Baptist as well. So she left the Baptist church, became Catholic, and then when she had children, she said she was not going to force a religion upon them. She wanted them to choose their own, and how that trickled down to me and where I'm at now. So I appreciate that, Nana. So thank you. But my mom, never chose. And when I was born, we literally lived right, and here was our house, here was the fence, and then here was the Catholic school and church. And I went to the Catholic school. And when I was 7 years old, I said, Mommy, I want to be Catholic. So we did the whole thing. I think it's RCIA and all of that. Because I wanted it. I chose it. I wanted it. I think I've been always a very in tune child. I remember being 2 or 3 years old and my grandmother taking me to Catholic Mass, and I couldn't sit through the whole thing, but I wanted to go. I loved it. Even, before I converted and was baptized to Catholicism, even just nature spirituality. I'm a 90s baby, so hey. But Pocahontas came out in 95, and I was obsessed, and I was not the child who, I played with other kids, but I didn't really have friends like that. And I was the type of kid who would walk around the blacktop and talk to the leaves and talk to, the caterpillars and talk to the trees and, had Ziploc bags full of stones and rocks. That was me. So I've always been very earthy. I think I've always had that earthy, witchy brand of spirituality within me. But by connecting with the Catholic Church, it allowed me to figure out what it is I was feeling and tapping into it in a different way. Okay, I do have a love for the Catholic Church. I think I always will, by growing up in it and going to school. I went to Catholic school from the time I was 2 until I graduated high school. So I've been fully immersed. I loved religion class. Absolutely loved religion class. It was my favorite next to English. I remember the priest coming in to teach religion class and being so excited, and I always had questions and I always had my hand in the air. I loved it with fervor, so much fervor. Again, I took it very seriously. I loved doing the volunteer work. I loved the patron saints. When I heard about the patron saints, oh my God, I thought that was so cool. You can have a patron saint and there's a saint for this and a saint for that, and I guess I'll speak more on that later, but I loved how that, I believe, was my first introduction to working with and connecting to other energies that were not God and were not Jesus. And that has really translated into me working with deity, working with Isis, working with the Morrigan, working with Kuan Yin, working, with all of these beautiful deities, Ganesh, and allowed me, I think, to step outside boundaries and limitations. It opened my mind a little bit. However, there was one thing I did not like. I remember wanting to be a priest very badly. I think I was about maybe first grade. And I remember the priest came in for religion class and he's like, no, sweetie, you can't be a priest. I'm like, why can't I be a priest? And he's like, because, you're a woman, you're a girl, women can't be priests. You can be a nun, but I didn't want to be a nun. I was really mad and frustrated, and I did not like that. So I also didn't like how I felt like Mother Mary was only revered on the Feast of the Assumption, or when Jesus was crucified for Easter, or the for Christmas for his birth, and that was all they talked about Mary. And I knew there was more to Mary than that. So something with that didn't resonate. I was in choir and chorus, and I was a lector in the church. I would, get up on Sundays on the pulpit and, do the readings, reading from the book of such and such. I loved it. I loved it. That was also like my first introduction to truly, truly public speaking. I loved it. So I thank the Catholic Church for this, the spiritual foundation it gave me, because it truly gave me one. Okay, it gave me a leg to stand on. However, again, there were lots of questions that I had that they couldn't answer. And I really felt for Mary Magdalene as well. I didn't like how Mary Magdalene was portrayed. And, being in my own witchy brand of spirituality now, it's like I understand why I felt connected to her and felt bad for her and how the Catholic Church views her. So it makes sense to me now, but then it was just like I didn't understand it. Again, I thought patron saints were awesome, but there was a lot I didn't agree with. If you all are just curious as to who I chose for my patron for confirmation, look up St. Catherine Labouré and the Miraculous Medal. I did have a visitation from Catherine Labouré many, many years ago when I was still very involved with the Catholic Church, but there's so much beauty there. There really is beauty in the church. Now, do I still believe in God? When people, I tell them, like, I'm not so Catholic anymore. They're like, do you still believe in God? I believe in the Creator, yes. I believe in the universe. I believe that everything is connected. I believe in the divinity of all things. I do find myself, if I'm truly, truly in deep grieving or crisis, I don't find myself calling to Isis or calling to Archangel Michael or calling to Ganesh or Morrigan or whatever. I will, in those deep, deep, darkest moments of despair, I call to God. I do. That is my default, I think, from how I've been raised. So, in that sense, yes. But is it my go-to? No. I believe in Christ consciousness. I believe in Buddha consciousness. I believe that all of these different religions around the world, they all stem from this Mohammed. They all stem from the same thing. Okay, for truth and purity and unconditional love and divine wisdom. But it's just whatever spin you want to call it, whatever man has decided I want these rules to be or to control people through religion. And I don't vibe with that. So that's why I'm not big into structured religion anymore. That's part of it. Okay, now do I practice both? Again, I worship it all. I have my own brand of spirituality, my own pantheon, of deity I work with and energy that I work with. I've always felt a connection to Earth Mother. I've always felt a connection to ancient religions. I remember learning about Taoism in my world's religion class. I think I was a junior in high school at that point, and I thought it was the most amazing thing ever. I was pretty depressed at that period in my life, but something about the Tao I loved. I loved. So that kind of opened the door for me that while there are other religions that I may resonate with more than Catholicism. So I want to thank my teachers for that world religion class and opening, my mind to other possibilities of spirituality and worship because it resonated with me so deeply. Do I feel God and spirit in the church? Yes, I do. I think it's a holy place. But it got to the point where I was tired of the routine. A few years ago, they changed the responses. I didn't like the new responses. It got to the point, it felt like it was just routine and it was humdrum and it was mundane and people are just mumbling responses because it's been drilled into your head and you're just reciting it like muscle memory, but the words don't have any meaning. You're not soaking that in. I really tried to soak in everything that I was saying as the words were coming out of my mouth. I do, but however, it felt like dead air. And there, it got to the point where going to the Catholic Church, it felt like dead air. It had lost its specialness, I guess. It wasn't the same anymore. I no longer had the same feeling as I had when I was a child there and going through the motions with no meaning behind it. It didn't resonate with me. It just became like a robotic thing. Like, this is what we're supposed to do. This is when we're supposed to stand. This is when we're supposed to kneel. This is when we're supposed to say, and also with you. And this is when we're supposed to say this. And it felt so impersonal, It felt impersonal. It felt like it was just, like on an assembly line, like all of the same thing. You knew exactly what you were going to get and everybody was going to get the same thing. And I felt like I needed something more tailored to me and what resonated with me. Now, have I cried in the Catholic Church? Yes. Have I had powerful experiences in the Catholic Church? Yes. But I needed more than that. It had lost that edge for me. Was it a big shift for me to go from Christianity and Catholicism to my brand of spirituality now? No. Was it difficult? Not really. I think, I'm grateful to my family, especially to my Nana, without which I don't think this would be possible, by her saying that go with what feels good with you, and my family being open and accepting in that way. So was I afraid to be like, Mom, I'm not so Catholic anymore? Yeah, I was. But she was very accepting, and she's kind of like, Ariel, please, like, I already know this about you. Like, this is nothing new. So she was not shocked or surprised in any way. More than anything, it was hard for me internally. I think I felt a lot of guilt and a lot of shame because of that, that Catholic guilt that, am I sinning? Am I going to go to hell? Am I doing something terribly wrong? And then I really had to think about it. Religion was created by man. The Bible was written by man. This may be a controversial statement to some of you all, but this is my belief. So please respect my belief. That, man had certain agendas. And man does not know all. Man is not infallible. Even though they say in the Catholic Church the Pope is infallible. Man is not infallible. Only God, only Spirit. And there are so many books left out of the Bible, either for political agendas in the church or because of views towards women or wanting to control the population or to instill fear. Okay. And to me, it's almost like with mediumship. I'm a psychic medium. It's like, I get messages from spirit. They show me things. They tell me things. I try and relate it to the sitter. But sometimes I misinterpret that information because I am not infallible. I am a human. So if that makes sense to you all. Again, there are lots of fundamental beliefs within the Catholic Church that don't resonate with me anymore, and all of the agendas. And try and do some research on books left out of the Bible. And I believe it's the Council of Nicaea. I don't think it's the Council of Trent. It must be the Council of Nicaea with Constantine, I think, and if you all want to research that. But the Catholic Church will always be a home for me in the sense that it is my spiritual foundation, even though I consider myself a pagan, a witch, and open spiritually. I don't care for labels, so even calling myself a pagan and a witch, I'm like, if that's what I am, that's what I am, but I'm not big on labels. I just go with what feels good and what resonates with me. I don't need a name to call it. my spirituality is my own. I create my own pantheons. I work with symbols and relics that mean something to me, whether they be ancient Greek or Egyptian or still Catholic. I still work with holy water. I work with the Mother Mary. I work with Jesus. All of those things. I still have my rosary from my first reconciliation. I love it. I love those symbols. I think it's beautiful. I love the stained glass. I love the Shrine of the Basilica in DC. If any of you all travel to DC or in the DC area, check it out. It's gorgeous. I think it's under construction right now, but we had our high school graduation there, and we had done field trips there and everything, but it is a beautiful place. I love the miraculous medal. I love, those symbols I grew up with. The beauty of, the wine becoming blood and the Eucharist being the body of Christ. I enjoy that. I like that. But some of the, I guess maybe the better word is structure around the Catholic Church I don't like. I like the symbolism, but the structure does not resonate with me anymore. Okay, I do honor some feast days. I love Pope Francis. I think Pope Francis and PJP too, Pope John Paul II. I loved them. Advent and Lent, the whole process of the Holy See and choosing a new pope, it's ingrained in me. I'm still the one, I bless myself when I see a hearse or drive past a funeral home. It's ingrained in me. And I love that. Those are still things I use and I take with me. It will always be a part of me because it's a part of my childhood. Although I may not worship in that particular way anymore, I still respect it, and I still respect the people who do. Again, I work with Jesus and Mother Mary, and I work with deity as well. I, work with this and I work with that. I work with oils. I think the thing is, if you can find the similarities, okay, to me, holy water, when I think about it, it's like smudging. It's clearing that energy. It's clearing that space. Just one call is calling one something and another is calling something else. The incense that they use in Mass, I burn incense at home, frankincense and myrrh. It's all connected. It just depends on what you want to call it or label it if you want to do that. But there's so many things that I still carry with me and still work with and do. And I love it. I'm a mishmash of spiritual truths, a contradiction, if you want to call me that. I see everything from all sides. It is all sacred. Not everything resonates with me, but just because it doesn't resonate with me doesn't mean it's not holy and divine in its own right. Now, for those of you who have transitioned out of the religion of your birth or of your choosing and finding it doesn't resonate with you anymore, and you're like, well, what do I do now? I've been there too. It's a journey, and you just have to find what feels good for you, what resonates with you. I say work on the guilt. I say don't beat yourself up. We grow and change, and as we grow and change and our needs grow and change, our spiritual truths can change, and that's okay too. To me, that is a sign of growth. To me, that is a sign of wanting to explore and be curious and not just take what somebody says as fact because of who they are or what they said. You have to find what resonates with you as your own personal truth. So I think I talked about this a bit in my Dancing at the Altar blog post on the mavenunmasked.com blog or website. You can scroll down to the bottom of my homepage and type in Dancing at the Altar, and the article will come up. I also have a little video tour of my altar spaces. But I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to set it up. I was like, well, am I Wiccan? Like, do I want to do the whole Wiccan thing? Honestly, no offense to you Wiccans out there, but it just didn't resonate with me. It felt too structured again. Like with the Catholic Church for me, like this is what you say and the this and the this and the this. I like the structure in the sense that I like kind of having that foundation, but in the same way, I like the freedom. Okay. And as a solo practitioner, I need the freedom. So for me, I'm not sure how to say it, the athame or athame or whatever, and the chalice, that didn't really resonate. It was like, well, what do I do? So I just started thinking about the things that I liked. Okay. I liked ravens, so I put ravens up there. I love crystals. I put crystals up there. Anything that made me feel special or felt sacred to me. Little toys and knickknacks and letters and, check out my altar tour video. But placing those things up there and it's like, okay, now this is all here. What do I do with it? Do I set up a set schedule to like worship every week? Do I, pray? Do I kneel? Do I stand? Do I genuflect? Do I just sit here and meditate? Do it all. Experiment with what feels good for you. For a long time, I had an altar set up and I just looked at it because I thought it was just pretty to look at. I didn't know what to do with it. And then it got to the point where it was like, no, Ariel, you don't have to come and pray here every Friday. You don't have to take your mala beads and do, a whole thing every week. If that's what you want to do some weeks, that's fine. Other times you can just sit and with a candle and admire the beauty. Talk to your altar space. Dance at your altar space. Sing at your altar space. All the things that you wanted to do in structured religion that you felt like you couldn't do when you were worshiping, do that in your personal altar space. Cry, laugh, scream if you need to. Talk to deity, meditate, any and everything. It's your space. Make it your own. Create your own rituals around your altar space, your own routine, your own structure. So maybe you like the routine of Wicca or of, the Catholic Church or any kind of structured religion, and you want to create, okay, Sunday at 9:00 is my mass time. I will, kneel. I will say this. I will light the candle. I will pour, libations for spirit. I will do this. I will do that. I will do that. That's fine too. But I say, work on the guilt. And is the guilt really coming from you, or is it coming from society in the sense that this is what society thinks or society says? This is what I was raised to believe. Are you conforming, or are you following your truth? Are you staying in your comfort zone because you don't want to upset anybody, or are you doing it because that's where you truly are, and what you truly love? I want to say, don't be afraid to do something different, to try something new, to create your own brand of spirituality. Take a little from this, take a little from that. I still have, crucifixes. I have one on the wall right there. You can't see it. I have holy water on my altar. I have a prayer for vocation card on my altar. I take what resonates with me and I leave the rest. I try to understand it as best as I can, but I have to go with what works for me. Because to me, it's like, what is the point of having a spiritual practice that doesn't resonate with you? What is the point of that? To me, that doesn't cause ascension or bring you closer to spirit if you're doing it because this is the way everybody's been doing it and that's the way you've been told to do it. What is the point if it does not resonate with you as a soul? Honestly, where does that get you? Where do you end up from there? I think it's important spiritually to have an open mind. You never know what you may encounter when you get to the other side. Like, geez, I thought it was this way. And then you get to the other side and you're like, it wasn't that way at all. It's not that way at all. So have an open heart, have an open mind, accepting yourself and what feels good for you and others, and respecting those boundaries between both of you. I mean, I still have my brother who knows I read cards and he thinks, it's the devil and trickery and, all of that kind of thing. But for me, it's not. For me, it's not at all. And I respect his truth, but I also asked him to respect mine as well. Don't be afraid to change your mind. Also, don't corner yourself into a box. If something resonates with you today, it may not resonate 3 years from now. Don't beat yourself up over that. It's okay. Try something new. If you don't like it, you can always come back. But do I think you will go to hell and burn, with fire and brimstone and all of that if you leave Christianity or leave the Catholic Church or pray to Buddha or, Kuan Yin or the Morrigan or Odin or Isis or Ganesh? If you talk to your spirit guides, if you meditate, if you work with the angels, all of that, do I believe it's a sin? No. I don't, because there is divinity in everything. Everything is connected. It's just we're calling it by different names. That's all. Think about Jesus and the apostles. They all represent different archetypes. If you think about the patron saints, they all represent different archetypes. To me, patron saints, if God is equivalent to Odin, Okay, then you've got all of the patron saints who are equivalent to all of the other deities in the Norse pantheon. There's that connection, that similarity there. Archetypes are pretty much the same in every culture because it's the human experience. But I want to say, don't deny your spirit and your curiosity out of fear, of judgment, of ridicule, of sinning, of all of those things. God, whatever God, whoever it is you believe and subscribe to, does not judge and is full of love. So I wanted to draw 2 cards, one from the Sacred Rebels Oracle and one from the Angel Prayers Oracle deck from Kyle Gray. Just about, if somebody is going through a situation like this and they're struggling, ooh, there we go. What do they want to be known? What is a good message for them? The shadow card we have is focus on the light. So focus on the sun, focus on the positivity, focus on the beauty. Where do you find light? Okay, that divinity is light. Your soul is light. It's the spark of light. So where do you find that? Okay, the first card we have is a releasing allegiances. Okay, so it may be difficult releasing those allegiances. You may, feel you get a little stung every once in a while, that some things, may hurt, or cutting cords or cutting ties to that. But releasing allegiances to whatever doesn't resonate with you. And that's okay. I don't feel like you're a bad person if you agree with maybe, I don't know, all of the 10 commandments but one. I mean, that's just an example. I don't know. But, you agree with, all of these things except for one, or you don't like the fact that the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, but the way they tell the stories, they're all just a little bit different. Things of that nature. Okay, releasing allegiances, not beating yourself up. Okay. The next card is you are in the world, not of the world. Okay, religion is man-made. I think I was saying this earlier. You are a living being in the world, but you are a soul in the body. You are a spiritual being having a physical experience in the world, but not of the world. So what does your soul connect to? What does your spirit connect to? Okay, man's inventions, may bring that to you, but it's about tapping in, I think, to many, or at least how this was for me, tapping into many and finding what works and resonates with you. Okay, and not being trapped or bound by the structure or conditioning of the world and of society. And the last card is shock of the new. So it will be new, it will be shocking, it will be different. You may shock some people in your life, in your family, people who you thought loved you and were really great friends may not want to talk to you anymore because you're not, being the sheep. You're following your own truth. You're not trying to be a sheeple anymore. You're trying to be your own person. So know that may happen, but remember to focus on the light and positivity and what feels good. And let's get an angel prayers card, please, just to tie this all up. Thank you, Spirit. We have honor your feelings with Archangel Haniel. Thank you, Haniel, for supporting me as I honor my emotions. Okay. And then we have the miracle of prayer with Archangel Sandalphon. Thank you, Sandalphon, for delivering my prayers to heaven. So pray on it. Think about it. Honor your feelings. Work with them. Don't be afraid if you don't feel so Catholic or so Christian or so Buddhist or so Muslim or whatever it is, Jewish, whatever it is anymore. Honor your feelings. Ask Archangel Haniel to help you. Work with Archangel Sandalphon and asking him to deliver your messages to heaven and to spirit about, hey, I need some help. What do I do? How can I work through this? If you guys are looking for, a place to start, I do have my Angels, Guides, and Goddesses reading up in my mavenms.com website where I'll draw a card for you. I'll connect to your energy and maybe then we pick a angel guide or god or goddess that wants to work with your energy. So that can be a great place for you to start. I also have my spiritual quest reading. So with that reading, you get a spirit animal, you get an angel guide or goddess, you get, you know, crystals and different things, different tools that you can work with to help you on your spiritual quest, especially if you're finding yourself transitioning from traditional religion into your own brand of unique spirituality. But I'm Ariel, and this has been Maven Unmasked with the I'm Not So Catholic Anymore video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you have any questions for me, please leave a comment below. If you would like to book a reading with me, please do so on the MavenUnmasked.com website or in the Maven Unmasked Etsy shop. The Etsy shop and the website are a little bit different. You can check out my blog. But please leave a comment below with a question. Shoot me an email, mavenunmasked@gmail.com. And if I think it's a good question or if it's something that I can speak on, I will make a video about it. But have a great one, lovely. So much love to you on your spiritual journey. Bye.